Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Scott here from The Entrepreneur, and thanks for tuning in on a slightly different type of presentation slash video today. I want to take some time today to talk about performance, more specifically how to increase your potential in life. And I just wanted to start off by saying that I'm not all-knowing. This is purely a video that's coming from deep inside me to hopefully inspire you to think about some of the things that I'm saying, and not because I wanted to be dogmatic, but merely because I've been fortunate enough to have certain learning experiences in my life and feel like the things that I'm about to share could be of impact to you. For some of you, they may be things that you already know, platitudes of some sort. And of course, if you've read anything by Peter Drucker, then maybe some of this is repetitive. But to me, most of what Peter Drucker has taught in many of his different lectures and books is and has been extremely applicable in my life. And I remember that there was a time in a past that was not too long ago where I was unaware of his teachings and maybe wish that somebody had introduced me to his books and his lectures slightly earlier so that I was able to, or would have been able to, assess my life more critically and make certain changes or adopt certain notions that could have accelerated my growth curve and my potential to perform and my overall effectiveness as an individual and as a worker. And so, again, this is going to be about performance and how to increase your potential in life. And wanted to start off by a quote of Peter Drucker, which is from his book Managing Oneself, which I highly recommend you read because it's only about 60 or 70 pages long, so you could get through it in less than an hour because it's a tiny book. And one of the things he says is mathematicians, musicians, and cooks are usually mathematicians, musicians, and cooks by the time they're 5 years old. And what he means by that is that, and now let me bring all this up here as well, is that, like I'm saying on the slide here, everybody has certain genetic abilities that predispose them to be great at certain things and not others. And what he means by that is that we all fall on a bell-shaped curve in terms of what our skills and capabilities are. Some of us have incredible memories and are really, really easily or can very easily mold ourselves to acquire certain physical skill sets, whether it's, the athletes among us or whatnot. I mean, I'm sure you've always wondered or kind of sometimes think back about how you were maybe in high school and how that one kid that you played sports with really never worked as hard as you did, yet he went on to play in the NFL or played college football or college basketball, whatever it was. And at the time it was very frustrating. And now in hindsight, you're kind of scratching your head and said, I put in more work, I put in more effort, I put in more sweat, blood, and tears, yet that person was able to accelerate, and be better than I was. And we always talk about talent. And I think this is really, a crucial, term, because talent is genetic predisposition, and we all, as human beings in a society that, rewards expertise and excellence and our performance, need to be aware of what our talents are. We need to be aware of, what our strengths, what our weaknesses, how do I learn, how do I basically extract the most value out of, my capabilities. And while we can improve ourselves in most areas, greatness can't be achieved in every area for all of us. There are definitely people who, and again, I'm sure you know people like that, who are able to simply pick up anything, whether it's an instrument, whether it's a sport, whether it's a topic, and seemingly excel in it at a level that, you have struggled for years or months to get to. And so it is for us to identify what these strengths and weaknesses are for ourselves so that we can now align ourselves and put ourselves in a position where we are now playing into our strengths and are focusing less upon the things that we may want to do, but are weak at, and really kind of being honest with ourselves. And so that brings me to this point of improving your reality. And what I mean by that is, and I guess I can use Peter Drucker's quote here, knowing where one belongs can transform an ordinary person, hardworking and competent but otherwise mediocre, into an outstanding performer. And improving your reality means accepting that maybe what you're currently doing, and while you are currently feel like you're in a hamster wheel and you're not moving forward, is because you are not putting yourself into the right position to become an outstanding performer. You are maybe currently acting and working in a field or doing a job or pursuing a venture that may not be playing into your strengths. Maybe that means you need to hire someone to take care of certain areas that you are naturally not strong at. They may mean a complete pivot, a complete reassessment of your life. It could mean a lot of different things. So self-honesty is extremely, extremely important. And there are a lot of people that don't realize this until later on in their life. I'm fortunate for myself, and without trying to brag, but I'm more fortunate than anything else that I used to work in a very competitive finance field, and I kind of realized for myself that this isn't really something an environment where I'm playing to my strengths. It's very competitive, and I feel like my certain skill sets are not being properly utilized and can't really shine in this type of environment. Therefore, I left my employer and started to work as an entrepreneur. And that carries obviously a lot of risks, and it isn't for everyone. And I still haven't quite figured out, and time will only tell whether or not I'm truly going to succeed at that. But I know based on my day-to-day assessments of how I'm operating and what I'm able to achieve is that this lifestyle is definitely much more suitable or suited to my particular skill sets. So the key here is, again, in my opinion, and according to what Peter Drucker also, wrote, is to assess your strengths and weaknesses and choose your career path accordingly. And, that doesn't mean that you should completely abandon everything, especially if it's fun to you, but it really does mean that for those people, and I'm sure everyone feels that way in certain things that they do in life, is to just say, is this thing that I'm pursuing, is it really worth it? Am I pursuing it for my ego? Am I pursuing it because other people have told me I should be pursuing it and I don't want to let them down? Or I'm really jumping on the bandwagon here, and am I actually good at this? And I think if you ask yourself these questions, there will be a lot of things in your life where you might say, what, I have been lying to myself. This is not something that I think I'm naturally good at. And we tend to, as human beings, move in the path of least resistance, meaning that we go with the things that are easiest. So if we have made these commitments to other people and to ourselves saying that we're going to be doing this, yet we feel every single day that after a trial period, we have realized that we're not really growing at the same pace as other people might be growing, and we don't feel like we're actually in a place where, we are truly displaying all of our capabilities and are able to shine, which most of us have that capability to shine in a particular category, then it's time to reassess and really say, okay, what do I need to do here? And that also brings up an interesting point, which is avoiding ignorance. So one has to be cautious that when you do abandon certain developments of your, whether it's your personality, or your skills or skill sets, or whatever it may be, whatever choices you make, to not be ignorant, meaning that you should always educate yourself. ABL, always be learning. And that means that you should say to yourself, well, just because I am extremely, extremely good at real estate investing and I really understand the market, I therefore do not need to become more literate in stock investing, or I should not worry about learning more about political events, or I should not be learning that extra foreign language, or yada, 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 yada. You get the point. The key here is to say, what am I strong at? And put most of your effort into those categories so that you can become an expert in them, because you are naturally inclined, again, you are genetically in a position to accelerate in that category faster than anybody else or than most people. And so therefore you should put in the predominant amount of time into those categories so that you can be an expert and can actually use that value, that strength, and that capability to source to use it as a source for revenue, or just for recognition, or just for being able to give back, however you want to utilize them, whatever type of category we're talking about here, what type of skill set. But on the flip side is also, and Peter Drucker also emphasizes this, is to say, don't be ignorant. Don't always try, and even the things that you are really terrible at, or just severely mediocre, that you still spend the time and understand what this topic is about, and be curious, so that you have a greater understanding of how the world works. And having a greater understanding of all these things can really, really help you in leveraging the strengths that you already have. Knowing the knowing how the world works and all the different facades and the different industries can only help you in really driving your strengths to the next level, and it will avoid you falling into any pitfalls of simply being ignorant. So that's really all I wanted to share with you today, because it's something that I spoke to with a friend of mine today, and I decided to throw up a quick presentation and share this with you guys. And it's something that really has impacted my life dramatically. I'm a big reader. I try to get through at least a book a week. And when I talk about a book, I mean, I don't really read fiction. It's all mostly nonfiction, self-development, business, finance, psychology, whatever it is, anything that makes me smarter and allows me to assess myself and assess my trajectory, and even help other people or guide other people towards making better decisions in their lives. And again, I still have a ton to learn, but I feel like I've already been able to experience certain lessons by falling on my face. And this is just my way of hopefully sharing some information or some thoughts that you may or may not have already or not have thought of, and hopefully can add value that way. So definitely let me know in the comments if this was something that was of interest to you, if it helped you, or if you have any just general thoughts on it. I would be very curious to hear how you think about this. And so if you want more videos like this, subscribe, and speak to you soon.